Howdy! Welcome to M3. It's your man, the talented Mr. Drake in the building. I don't know where this shit comes from sometimes. It's your man, Nick Gregory, the talented Mr. Drake in the building. I am with one of my favorite human beings on earth, my man Malcolm, the Philosopher King, and you have just joined us on midday Mondays with Malcolm and Greg and Malcolm and Greg, and Beavis and Butthead. I don't know. on usually on Mondays. I say usually because it changes at our discretion. We will recap and the news will happen over the weekend, and Malcolm will entertain and dazzle me with topics that he came up with that will probably follow through into other shows during the week. So, without further ado, let's get into this weekend's news. As America knows, we are in full swing of the election season. You know, it is widely thought that after Labor Day is when the election gets into full swing. This cycle, we happen to be in an abbreviated session because sometime, what was it, July 21st?
I can't even remember, yeah. But yeah.
21st. President Biden bowed out of the race, throwing his weight behind his VP, Kamala Harris. Harris is doing 10 times better than Biden could ever do, but yet the race is still tight. All polls indicate, if you believe the polls, that it's still a neck and neck race. I tend not to believe the polls. They always say this. They predicted this red wave in 22. Now, I don't know which way to believe them. I'm not going to say. I just don't.
I was going to say, like, in the problem with polls is the models are or can be inaccurate, right? So like you're only polling a sampling of people and you have to extrapolate from that sample to the entire population, and things change. So like your models have to change, and sometimes they don't. Correct. So I mean that's when you get inaccuracies.
That's when you get inaccuracies. And I think, I don't know why. So, you know, we both have college degrees, but you know, like in college algebra, if your variables always change. You know, before you get down to the nitty gritty of what the answer is, you know, and people that the pollsters never change. But I digress. So if you believe the polls or no, it's a tightening race. She has a slight.
I think the polls have the likelihood of being most accurate this time, simply because, you know, Trump is a much more known quantity, and so is Harris.
Well, no, but that one would think that, but there is a. In a New York Times CNN poll that says 28% of the electorate don't know much about Vice President Harris, and they want to know more. That's a lot of the electorate, according to this particular poll. So I don't know. Like, there's some type of weird disconnect because I'm hearing one thing to another. But back to the trail and the state of the race. Preparing for some Tuesday night will be a debate, the first debate, possibly the last, between VP Kamala Harris and former President Trump. And this debate will be live on ABC at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Programming note, if you would like to watch it with us, we will have a full panel of your favorite black faces and beards here Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Now, at 8, instead of programming note, instead of starting Swag Show at 7, we'll be starting at 8 because we don't want to have, you know, be all up into the midnights of the hours. So we will be starting Swag Show at 8, and then at 9, we'll switch over to the live streaming of the debate. So tune in to this very network. M3, I feel so proud to say that we'll be doing something. It was so good last time because it was doing Cream's show, and we were all terrified. We all had the look of a hostage video. It was just, you know, and Cream is such a good host. He's like, "Fran is gonna get better," and it did. He dropped out. So there you go. I guess we got all what we wanted.
Yeah.
We wanted. So, in other news, on the other side of the camp, so VP Harris hunkered down in Pittsburgh this weekend, where she was doing debate prep in a hotel, and she stepped out into the community a couple of times. She stepped into a spice shop where she hugged and cried with white people. It was fantastic. Uh, this is the Black News, by the way. And so,
Oh yeah, she does have
yeah, she has great retail.
personality. Yeah, she
Yeah,
does.
no matter what and they were just hugging white people. And it was
She
great.
does best when she is not trying to be something she's not.
Yeah,
And
like
she's just being herself. Yeah, she's pretty good.
I love it. She was in a spice shop.
Yeah.
She howdy there, sir. She was in a spice shop. She loves to cook, so she was on her natural. I think there is a trajectory. I think I Trump's cult is important, but I think whatever, and I'm not going to say it because she has a real chance to lose. So but I think the other juxtaposition of this is, she is injecting all the right things at the right time. I was thinking a few weeks ago that the abbreviated time that she had may be a deficit, but it may be a plus. If we have to run her through the paces real quick, and so back to the debate, the mics will be off. There will be no audience, and he, so I took notice that in 2020 he started around this time. It's fake. It's a farce. If we lose, he started that up. So he must see some internal polling that he's going to lose or he's losing, and that's how that starts. You can tell in 2016 he picked up the moniker of I'm not going to do anything because he knew he was going to win. He knew he was depressing the vote, and that's his MO, to depress the vote. And then if he doesn't get, but it's the exact opposite. He is polarizing, and he is exciting the base on the Democratic side, and so he has a ceiling because Malcolm.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, brother, I always think about things like you think about things because that would keep me from getting overheated and excited. So I think about it in the fact of, so listen to this. So I actually do homework because I feel like a journalist now. He only has a ceiling of 47%.
Mm-hmm.
So she can get 48% or 46%. Which is not a terrible hard lift. And in most polls, she's over 48%, if you believe that. Now, in some polls, he's at 50. I don't believe that. Because
even when he's at 50, like this is still the natural fluctuations, the natural errors, have them basically as a coin flip.
Right. And, but so what I'm saying is at this time in 2020, it was showing the same thing because I went back and I checked, y'all. Look, I was up till 2:00 in the morning doing this for y'all. So in 2020, they had President Biden up by 5 or 6, and he actually won by 2. But he in the Republican primary this go round, he couldn't even get the plurality of his own party. So we'll see. Watch this space. Definitely go out and vote. www.
Yeah, that's what it really comes down to is the anti-Trump coalition. Will it stick together, basically?
Well, no, and it's yes. I'm not gonna say no. Yes, I meant to say sorry. I'm so used to being disagreeable.
I'm gonna let you be as disagreeable as you want. So
I know. Thank you so much for that. But I'm not gonna be disagreeable. I'm just gonna say that it also depends on if we don't get disaffected. And so I think
that's basically what I'm saying.
I think VP Harris is on the right thing. She's running as the underdog. She's like, hey, I'm losing. We can lose with joy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's setting the expectation just in case she does lose, it's gonna be all right. And it will. If she does lose, we will hopefully live through the 4 years and we won't get a major pandemic and stuff and all that good stuff. But in other news on the weekend, can you believe there was other news? Yeah. There were shooting update here in Georgia. The father was arrested, charged with several felonies.
This is the safest that it's been because we talked about it on Saturday.
Yes,
that parents in Michigan were charged, but not with murder.
They were charged.
This is the highest one. I guess second-degree murder, still murder though.
Second-degree murder is still murder. He's facing a grand total of In 18 years, America dash Bush. Now, in an update to that story, interesting enough, it has come out that the mother of the shooter made a frantic phone call to the school.
Yeah.
There was a name mix-up, and they could not get to the shooter.
Oh wow, I didn't know about all that. I knew about the call, but I didn't know why it didn't.
The resource officers, which that's why they got to him so quickly, because allegedly they were already
on. Yeah, they're on alert. Yeah.
So I don't. Will that keep you think that? Will that keep her out of jail or court or whatever?
I think so. She wasn't involved in that. Like
the parenting.
For my understanding, like she wasn't there. So I mean, I don't know. I don't. She hadn't been charged. And
then she quickly made that statement, "Bitch, it won't me,"
right. Like, and apparently, like she has the receipts. Apparently, like the phone calls, text messages, like she was warning people.
Yeah, because allegedly, because she was like, the daddy's on meth or some shit.
I didn't know about all that. Yeah.
Yeah, the story goes that allegedly he's on meth. Or was. Now he's in detox and lockup. But it's amazing that. But the school did allegedly try to contact the student and pull him out of class and stuff like that. But
yeah,
there was a name mix up. Again, we covered it on Saturdays. The Republicans' response was thoughts and prayers and thoughts. Oh my God, mental health.
Right. My thing is, like, I'm so tired of that. Trying to shame the Republicans. I feel like this is just another thing that we should maybe shame our own side for not voting.
Yes.
Like, this is one of those things. This is why we can't get gun control, because y'all stupid asses think that you need to not vote or that it doesn't matter. Like, the shit matters, bro. Like,
right. Now that is a thing, because like we can argue about the economy and how much bread costs.
Yeah.
And just Jesus coming back and all this stuff. But listen, if you are a single issue voter, which is fine,
yeah,
and you are concerned, vote about that. Vote for the party that doesn't want to see your children dead.
Right. Because there's only one party that's interested in doing that at all.
That does not want to see your kids on a slab.
Right.
So I'm going to say this. This is going to be controversial and gross. Do you know what an AR-15 does to the human body, my friend?
I mean, I've heard. I don't.
Very, very.
I know that a shot from one of those could just break off your arm, like literally dismember you. Like if it were to hit your bone, just remove a limb. Yeah,
it is very disturbing.
Yeah,
and imagine little bodies. They like the children. I'm sorry. I'm talking as a grandfather, and I apologize. But they tear up these children can't even have open caskets. And we worried about the lies that Trump tell. Vote on that goddamn policy. Vote on that policy. Make sure that we have a House and a Senate that can get us some goddamn gun. Then we won't have to need them. If we need a president that's going to sign it, then we got to worry about bitches like Marjorie Taylor Greene saying you have mass stabbings, bitch. You are ignorant.
Because what I've come to realize from some of the demographic numbers is that if we actually came out to vote en masse, I'm not even at 100%. Let's just say at 60%. 70% of the electorate, we would have control of both houses in the presidency. But we vote under 40% on most presidential elections, less than 30% in the midterms. So, like, it is about turnout. And sometimes, let's be real, only about 30% of the electorate actually pays attention to any of this.
Correct.
So, yeah, we got to get our neighbors and the like-minded people in our community to vote, even if they don't pay attention. Just like,
or even if you don't think like me or think like us in the plurality, we are past the point of policy. this is no longer about policy. This is an epidemic, man. Children should have the right, the comfortability in life to say, I'm going to grow up, or to be comfortable going to school. Is supposed to be the biggest thing that ever happened to me in school was kids fighting. You know what I mean? You might get your ass beat at the bus stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, somebody might spread a rumor. Children's things. It is unthinkable that, you know, and so I have plenty of friends that are educators and principals and all this. And, you know, listen, about shit, you have to do active shooter drills with 7-year-olds.
Yeah.
Or 5-year-olds that don't know exactly why. You know, I have a friend of mine, she teaches kindergarten and pre-K. She says, you have to tell the kids that they're hiding from the boogeyman.
Yeah.
You know, I'm so sorry. This is crazy.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's just one of those things that, like, why? Like, why?
It's so sad because it's preventable. And I think it's time for us to stop saying that it's the Republicans' fault. It really is our fault for not coming out, because they are stuck in their mindset. They're not going to change. And we can get this to change.
We can. And the second issue is, in my mind, dude, if somebody is telling you clearly, listen, clearly, I would love to do away with democracy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not working for us, for the minority people. You know, it's not working. So let's get rid of it. Let's throw out the Constitution.
And this is the crazy part. Like they project so much about their issues of democracy and maybe like taking over or like taking away their guns.
Correct.
The truth about Democrats are, if they were going to implement gun control, they would be very sensitive to Republicans' sensitivities towards, you know, liberty and the Second Amendment. While they always talk about sensible gun control because they know that they are the representatives of these Republicans as well. And so that's what's so fucked up about it, is that if Democrats had control, they would still keep Republicans in mind as they implement gun control. And we would still be like upset.
Like that.
Here's the thing that I think a lot of Democrats then would get mad about. Is like, y'all didn't go far enough. Y'all didn't do it the way it should have been. We still represent Republicans too. And Democrats, when they implement the gun control they have to also consider the sensibilities of their Republican constituents because they believe in democracy.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, yeah, a slice of the pie is still some fucking pie. You know what I'm saying?
Yummy pie. So
give us a piece of the pie. All right, go ahead.
Speaking of that, real quick,
yeah,
we have another side of another, I guess, a party. I don't know what it's called. Running for president this weekend on the trail in Wisconsin. Former President Trump. I just hate to have to say that. Made some disturbing allegations, and here it is. I didn't pull a clip. I didn't do any of that. These are lies. I am about to report lies. There's nothing about this that is true, accurate, or correct about anything that he said. He cannot do these things. If you are in the sound of my voice, Donald Trump is a liar. With that said, Donald Trump said this weekend in a true social post, and that little weird thing that he posted on Truth, it's called a Truth, whatever it is. That if he elected president, he would jail for long periods of time his enemies, people that ran against him, people that told lies, people that donated to his enemies. So basically, he's trying to scare off, because also was reported that she raised another $361 million for the month of August, and he raised 1/3 of that. So, and 80% of that was donors under $25. Now, I said these two things together because I was saying earlier in the show that we've seen this playbook before. He sees whatever polling that he sees and he's behind. Because I often tell people, watch how the campaign moves. That's how you know who's winning.
Yeah.
Now, and I tell anybody, if Comey would have stuck his would have minded his goddamn business, we would have had a Hillary Clinton presidency. He put his finger on the scale, and now he has the mitigated goal to run around in Democratic circles. I want to say this out loud. Fuck you, James Comey. Just fuck you.
Yeah.
You fuck you. You fucked democracy, and I hope history treats you like the Benedict fucking Arnold that you are. And now, when he's not loved by the Republicans like he thought he was going to be, he's running around. And God bless my yummy news boo, Nicole Wallace. She is my news boo.
Yeah.
You know, she said, "Thank you for joining us in these extraordinary times." I love that.
I'm looking forward to her next book whenever she publishes.
Isn't it good? Isn't it? Yeah. Oh, it's so good. You know, because I
she
love. Yeah.
She does good analysis. She does.
This bitch almost had me voting Republican, but anyway. So, and like I've been a fan since her George W. years.
Yeah.
I find her because low key she wanted to be like she tells a story real quick, y'all. That her views were kind of blue, and she was in a very, very conservative administration. And she's like, sometimes VP Cheney would look at her like, you don't even belong here. Right? And then she tells a story about how Whoopi Goldberg kind of sat her down and was like, honey, you don't even believe the things that you're saying. I love that story. So she calls her Mama Whoopi. She says, Mama Whoopi.
That's funny.
And said, you don't even believe the things that you're saying. She says, honey, you're a California bro. That's what she says. You're trying to dress these things up, and it's not even that. But with that said,
no, that's a sense of being a skilled, commentator is to be able to argue both sides. Like when you do debate club, you have to be able to cogently construct an argument you don't believe in.
That you do not believe in. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about her.
Yeah. That's a skill.
And her candidates were always middle of the road. Mitt Romney, she was in his campaign. She was in.
Yeah.
I really, God rest his soul, I really would have loved to see a John McCain presidency.
Yeah. I mean, I liked his convention. I thought about that. I was having that discussion with someone that, Kamala's convention reminded me a lot of McCain's convention, which was just like this positive thing, minus the, minus the Caribou Barbie. I mean, but still.
I knew you were going to say that. That's why I did not interrupt you at all.
Minus Caribou Barbie, it was very, very.
That was coming. I mean, bro, and I love the fact that the Democrats have embraced the flag, and we've embraced all of those things. Hey, as he should have been. Yes, he should have been. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The fact that he said the reason they got him a gun because people were picking on him, calling him gay is crazy. Is he a homosexual? Well, allegedly. You are such a podcast host, Thick. Allegedly, right? You don't want that lawsuit, boo. You don't want none of that lawsuit smoke.
Yeah.
Listen. So, with that said, again, make sure you guys go out and vote and tell a friend, take bitches to the polls with you. Go to www.vote.gov. Find out where you need to go. So, and enough to my family in Texas. Check your registration. There you go. Thank you, Malcolm. And good job. I know sometimes it's hard for you to see those placards. Thank you so much. Always, production-wise, take good care of me. I appreciate it. And I'm the sighted one here. That's a damn shame. I'm just if you guys, exactly. If you guys are in the wonderful state of Texas, make sure you check your voter registration. Here in Georgia, go to your state's voting website. The Secretary of State, I was just the words I was looking for. Check out, because they are purging voters by the thousands, hundreds, thousands, millions. So please check your voter registration. Make sure you are there to vote. Lastly, a programming note again for Tuesday night. Swag usually comes on the air at 7 p.m., but this Tuesday night, we will start the show at 8 p.m., go until 9. And at 9, we will have a full, I'm talking Stinger, I'm talking Jay Fitzhugh, JJ, Big Bach over there, the Afro Daddy himself. The host will be Swag, myself, Queen Digglers will be in the building, John, JJ, Stretch, Big Dig Daddy will definitely be in the building. So all of us will be watching intently along with you guys. So come along and mail me your mind. If you are in the sound of my voice, that's www.youtube.com/mailmediamind. You can catch that on Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, X, whatever. Oh,
yeah, all over the place.
What's the other one? TikTok. I try to put it in my mind in case I forget. Now, with that said, go vote and do your civic duty. All right. What you got, Malcolm?
So I'm going to start. I have a few topics. I have one on projection, rejection, and some other things. I can't remember. But I love those rhymes. We're going to talk about projection, though. I've been on this tip for a little bit about, like, you don't see the world as it is. You see it as you are. And I've been having these things that some people call synchronicities. It's coincidences that are not really coincidences, right? Or sometimes people think the universe is talking to them, and I was like, I don't really believe in that sort of magical thinking, but they exist, right? Like these sort of coincidences that feel like more of coincidences. And it occurred to me that maybe this is actually the result of projection, right? Like I'm seeing things in the world that I am thinking about and that I'm projecting meaning onto it. So I'm going to play this little clip about projection, and then we'll talk about it.
The more you hate a trait in someone else, the more likely you are avoiding it in yourself.
Freud called this projection. Carl Jung talked about this as the shadow self. Basically, the aspects about ourselves that we bury or deny or don't want to look at, they tend to stand out to us most in other people in the world and drive us fucking crazy. I like this one just because I think there's a lot of practical wisdom. If you find yourself consistently getting annoyed or pissed off at people in your life for doing the same thing, as they say, the only thing all of your relationship problems have in common is you. Whatever metric we've adopted in our own lives to measure our self-worth, that's generally how we project that same metric on the other people. And it cuts both ways, right? So if I value being of high integrity, obviously I'm going to judge other people for having high integrity. But if I have a lot of insecurity around an area, let's say I have a lot of insecurity around sex, then I'm going to be obsessed and obnoxiously nosy in other people's sex lives because it's something I'm trying to avoid in myself. So I'm like projecting it onto all sorts of other people around me. Like a lot of young men, I had these like status obsessions. So I had these weird delusions that there is this pecking order of how cool or important people are in the room. And I had this like perpetual insecurity of where I fit in that pecking order. And because I had that perpetual insecurity, I assumed everybody else did as well. So whenever a lot of social interactions I had or I observed between people, I always assumed ulterior motives. It just became, I had this very bizarre Machiavellian mindset of, oh, he's just being nice to her because he wants to make her jealous because he thinks she's cooler because his friends like her sister and all this shit. Meanwhile, I'm literally just writing fucking fan fiction in my head the entire time. It's nobody's thinking about this shit.
I think this happens on an individual level, like we're talking here too, but I think there's also a case to be made that it happens on a cultural and societal level too. One thing that's been kind of a point of contention over the last couple of years, especially on social media, is narcissism, right? Everybody's like, the narcissist in my life has ruined my life, whether it's my parents, they were narcissists, or my boyfriend, ex-boyfriend was a narcissist, whatever it is. And if you stop and think about it, we're all a little bit narcissistic. We all have those tendencies. And I think it's a reaction against that self-loathing a little bit around narcissism and thinking you're a little too important. They don't want those things to be true in themselves.
Totally, because a narcissistic person is going to perceive everybody else to be a narcissistic person because a narcissistic person believes everything is fundamentally about them. And so when they see everybody else in their life not caring, not empathizing, not being compassionate towards them, constantly having conflict with them, what one legitimate explanation is, wow, I'm just surrounded by narcissists. You see this a lot of times with people who are addicted will perceive others around them as being addicts and not themselves.
So one of the things I was thinking about when it came to projection is that it's not necessarily a bad thing. And it's not something you can really avoid, right? Like we are going to see the world the way we see it. And then we might adjust it when, we recognize that people don't see things the way that we do, But our initial way of reading someone else's mind is like, what would I think if I were in their shoes, But then, part of growing up and becoming a wiser, more well-adjusted person is recognizing that people don't see the world the way you do. In fact, that some people really are not like you at all. I mean, they're not. But yeah, so when I think about like projection onto other people, their motives and things, to me, synchronicity is sort of projecting importance and meaning onto inanimate objects, onto coincidences, onto, just the world in general. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think you can learn a lot about yourself and what's important to you from those synchronicities. I'll give you an example. I've been thinking about switching my job recently. Like I just sometimes just feel like I need something new, right? Okay. And I'm just going through my day, and I actually signed up for like a position to apply for jobs for the disabled, and made some calls or whatever, but I've been kind of slow rolling it. And while I was doing some things at my gym, someone just walked up to me and said, are you looking for a job? And I was like, what? It felt like one of those moments where like a synchronicity or whatever. It'd be like, yeah, it's like, I think you'd be good for this position. Why don't you go, apply for it?
Do you mind sharing what the job is?
A lifeguard.
Yeah, really? You swim that well?
Yeah. I mean, I was a competitive swimmer. Yeah.
So, because you're tall.
And I've taught classes before.
Nice. Okay.
So anyway, I go and fill out the form, and I recognize what that fear might have been, and that is my lack of experience. I have like 2 job experiences, one from like 15 years ago at the Albany Herald, and this job at AT&T. I recognize that's why I feel some kind of way, like I don't have much experience in a lot of things. Anyway, so I moved through it. I'm probably going to get the job because I am qualified and they know me, like I've been going here for a while. Like the current lifeguard.
So you're like, you have a leg up. Okay.
I pretty much have a leg up because the person who's leaving is the one who recommended me.
Look at you. But this is only for a few months. What are you going to do for the rest of the?
No, it's not a temporary job.
But indoor.
Yeah, it is. I don't necessarily have to quit my job at AT&T, but I'm going to see what is going on here. I could take a leave of absence, but we'll see.
I was about to ask you a fucking AT&T question on the air. I really was. Yeah.
No, it's all good. But that was one. I remember another had to do with, and I started trying to look up things about synchronicities, and I couldn't find anything good because it's all woo-woo, magical thinking. But the fact
and correct my thought pattern, okay, if I'm wrong. I think about when people talk about astrological signs. Wouldn't that be the same thing? They kind of attach like behaviors to Geminis or Libras, or isn't that the same thing?
And the thing is, like, the reason I don't think it's bad is because, like I said, it's part of projection, right? So the fundamental framework of horoscopes is something that someone came up with, right? Constellations aren't real. There's something we saw in the sky, right? They're stars. They're not connected in any way, but in our brain, we made connections. We made the meaning.
Okay.
And they made up these stories about those constellations, and they made them into a framework.
Right.
What you do with that framework is we project our intelligence onto it. So it is real. People do manage to understand aspects about people because of that framework. It helps them organize their thoughts. It helps them see things that they would not otherwise see because they need something to project their internal subconscious, sort of awareness onto it. And I think that's part of what I've come to understand synchronicities to be.
Okay.
Is that there are certain things about ourselves that we don't want to admit or that lie beneath the level of conscious awareness. that when it happens in our lives and these coincidences happen, it's like, boom, like, oh shit, I should have been doing this. Like, it's like, a wink. I think, what was it? God, Oprah called them God winks, like, feeling like the universe is like, hint, hint, hey, pay attention. This is something. Yeah, it's a thing that happens. And I'm not saying that it comes from outside. I think it's coming from inside the house. As they say, the killer's inside the house. The meaning is inside your own brain. It's not coming from outside of you.
Yeah. So the other thing I think about is that do we place? So you're saying we should? I think is your position saying we should take more credence?
Yeah, I think you don't have to be turned off by this idea of magical thinking. I'm thinking about myself. I'm turned off by the concept of magical thinking because I think it's not true, right? But that doesn't mean that it's not useful. You know what I'm saying? Just because you think it's magical doesn't mean that it isn't true in some other sense.
So you know what? I'm going to agree with you in this instance.
Yeah.
You proved your point.
Yeah.
For about 4 months before it became a loud drum beat, you said to me, you said, bro, Joe Biden needs to drop out. And I said, no. And you were like, seriously? And then, so you were like, and you gave me the scenarios, and you gave me, none of us had this scenario, by the way.
Yeah, no, right.
Like, you were like, listen, it's probably magical thinking. Nobody wants to give up the power of the presidency. But you made, that was just, and the happenstance was, it happened.
Yeah, that was surprising to me.
I did not expect that. That's how I always look at these coincidences.
Yeah.
Like, it always surprises me that, or it's like when you're dating and you meet somebody that checks most of your boxes. Like, they're a movie lover and they like orange cotton candy, or they like, I don't know, candy corn.
Yeah, that's funny.
I just triggered a swag out there. Just I can't remember. Was he a candy corn person?
He was a candy corn person. I think.
Me too. So, and I think we bonded over the candy corn.
Y'all nasty.
I'm
just joking.
Good.
I used to like candy corn. I actually did. I did back in the day.
Now, what's weird, going off on a tangent real quick, is all the candy corn flavored shit is unnecessary.
I wonder if they would come out with a candy corn soda, because actually
they do have one.
I think it's perfect for soda. It's so sweet. I mean, it might as well be a soda. Yeah.
They might just put diabetes on the label. So
that's my issue. Is I literally gag. It's so sweet.
I just like, swag. Are you out there?
My body literally shudders at the taste of it. Like from the bottom of my stomach. It's not from the chest. It's like from the diaphragm. Just get this out of my body.
So, I mean, like, it's just it's that thing like, that you necessarily, I don't know. And so then, but would you have to? What do you call the act of? And we probably need to move on to that, maybe, but
yeah, we will.
What do you call the act of having to convince someone to see your magical thinking? Is that?
See, I think that part.
Okay.
I don't do. I don't.
Except to me.
No, I never. Did I ever enforce this idea? I just told you what I thought. I'm not gonna.
Oh no, bitch.
You may have perceived that. I'm sorry. You may have perceived that, but I was definitely not trying to make you see anything. I sat there and listened to you talk about it, and I just told you what I thought when you asked. I did not.
No. Oh no. And it's very subconscious. You're very good. Right? You need to be like a politician or something.
I didn't want to be a
and I'm going to tell you, and I shouldn't tell you because then you're going to be conscious of it. I'm not telling you. It's just you're very good at it. I'm not going to tell you.
But no, I knew that pushing back on you meant that you would only dig in more. But I definitely just told you how I felt.
I think about
and there were things about your position that I agreed with. Like, for one, you were like, they never gonna accept that black woman. I'm sure you said that over and over. And you know what? You did. And I agreed with you on that. I was like, I agree. I don't see them coalescing around her. And that was a concern.
So let me turn the corner from it.
Yeah.
I thought that way when he put her on the ticket.
Yeah, me too.
And that is my whole problem with her winning.
Yeah.
Nate Silver says she's going to win. This guy that predicted all the presidents in 40 years said he's going to win. She's going to win.
Yeah.
Like the world. Oh, swag just coming to the mouth. Candy corn. one moment, America. The candy corn slander.
It's coming back too. It's candy corn season.
It's candy corn season.
Oh, God.
My boy says the candy corn slander shall cease immediately.
Y'all nasty.
Y'all just nasty. But I meant what I said.
Yeah.
You know, because like I had, and that's my, you know, and now that I think about it, I'm not nervous because she's running an almost perfect campaign.
Yeah.
That's not the part that makes me nervous. Bro, the part that makes me nervous is that she's a black woman. And I don't trust America with black people of color.
And you shouldn't. You definitely have an accurate view of America.
Don't.
You should not trust us. No, we are horrible.
Trust us. What is your next video on top?
My next one is going to be a little bit on dating. I think I picked this to trigger you. I don't think
again. I've just been up the trigger bus. Oh God.
Okay, so this is the idea. You know, when you have a date with someone, for a first date, we often talk about, you know, your representative or whatever.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The inverse of that might be the fantasy that someone projects onto you. So this kind of ties into the idea.
Wait, before you play that footage, wait. What about the mofo, the dumping? Have we talked about the dumping aspect? This ties into it. Okay. Okay, here we go.
What is useful to get a man or a woman is not the same thing as what works to keep a man or a woman. Those are two different problems. Some people actually make great long-term partners, but they're terrible at attracting. They're terrible at the marketing. Other people, they get the marketing down, but they lack the substance, so they can't really go the distance from one way or the other. And so it's harder then to keep their partners around. They're two different problems. The solution for one does not apply to the other. In particular, the vast majority of attraction is based on projected fantasy. I don't know who you are. I just see the outside. And I'm going to approach you because I like that outside. And my attraction is going to fill in the gaps of my knowledge base with what I want to see there. That's why I made an episode about how most men blow the first date. They blow the first date by talking too much. They talk too much out of the misguided desire to prove their value to women. They usually do it in a very heavy-handed, ham-fisted way. And generally, all they do is succeed in disabusing that woman of the fantasy that she had of that man, which is why she was sitting there on that date tonight. Because the likelihood that anything I say is going to match up with what you want to see in the privacy of your own mind is functionally zero. So I need to tread very carefully because you're not on this date because you like me, because you don't fucking know who I am yet. You're here because of what you hope I might be. And so I need to be very careful not to disabuse you of that hope too quickly. Right? It's actually the key to transitioning from one phase to the other. It's going to sound real bad, but it's a slow and gradual disappointment. Right? And you have to do this because if you don't do it, then what do you end up with? You end up in a relationship where you're not truly known and you're just performing all the time. And that's probably not sustainable, but it's certainly not very satisfying.
And there'll be a sudden disappointment.
There generally is. I talk about that in the book. The crisis of disappointment is one of the first crises that all nascent relationships must pass through. And on some level, the relationship doesn't even begin in earnest until couples go through the crisis of disappointment, where either through one significant betrayal or the accumulation of small inconsistencies, the fantasy on which the relationship has been based up until that point shatters.
and the person is really no different from who he or she was the day before, but he or she's going to feel completely different, because it's almost like the scales have dropped from your eyes and you're seeing this person. And maybe what seemed cute and lovable and adorable just a week ago now is completely infuriating and difficult to live with. Sometimes the very things that we're most attracted to tend to be the things that we dislike most about our partners further down the road. It's a cruel irony.
So I thought it was cynical, but it's absolutely true, right? He said that a relationship, a good relationship, is a slow and gradual disappointment. You need to disabuse someone of the fantasy. No, let me finish. You need to disabuse someone of the fantasy that they have of you because they don't know you yet. There's always going to be a projection of what you might be to them. And it's never the case. You're never going to be the thing they think you are. And so that's the point of like that dumping all this information on them too fast, is because you disabuse them of the fantasy. Like, let them have their fantasy for a little while. Let them think that you're this thing and slowly get to know you. Because what is interesting is that fantasies are great, but reality is better. Okay. Reality, even when it's imperfect, is better than a fantasy. It's kind of like, you think you want this thing that's perfect and beautiful, but when it's fake, it's not the same as something that's flawed and real, But you got to give them, you got to let them, their fantasy die slowly. You can't just fucking kill their fantasy, man. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so I don't use the dumping method at all. But I do, I do periodically through the process. Listen, I'm not perfect. You know what I mean? Because I've learned in 51 goddamn years. So what I was going to say at the beginning is that is the problem with being a podcaster. That is the problem with being in people's phones and living rooms and offices a few times a week. You know what I mean? So they feel like they know you. Okay. Right. And if I was out there doing it, then they would want to date the talented Mr. Drake. You know, but when I show up as grouchy grandpa and not interesting and worldly, that is a part of who I am.
Yeah.
But in everyday life, I'm more fuck the world. But I do have a part, there's several.
You make a really good point though, because I think that to a smaller degree, everyone is a podcaster. We broadcast ourselves on social media all the time.
We do.
We create these false images of ourselves, and everyone's going to be disappointed with the reality of that person because they're all instructed to be marketable. We market ourselves to other people. Like, why wouldn't
I have to hit the old man on them all the time when they put me in the inbox and they send me ass pics and ball pics. I'm like, you don't want this smoke. You don't want any. You think you don't want this 51-year-old disaffected, overworked motherfucker. You don't want this nigga. And so I stopped and I thought about, and I think about John, who is actively seeking love. And I think about they see him on television. They see him on television, thousands of people a month. And, it's a gift and a curse. And the gift is we get people like and listen to what we say. They take our opinions. But when you are single, you're out in the world. Do you tend, I know you have dated like people out in the viewership.
Yeah.
So with what the gentleman said, how have your experiences been with this has been your life for 10 years?
Yeah, so I think the added exposure is okay. I certainly have more opportunities to meet people than I would normally. I tried not to let it go to my head. I did maybe once or twice let it go to my head. Like I actually, it was fun. And then they got to know me a little too fast, just like he said. And they were like, I don't really like you. I had to accept that later on. Like I did not fulfill their fantasy,
Did they tell
however,
you it is what they didn't like?
They didn't say that. But I mean, yeah, they dumped me, and it was maybe after a couple months of dating. What was funny is that they were maybe the first person who I met in public, not online, where they said, "I know you from Male Media Mind. Would you like to go out?" Like, and we exchanged numbers, and we actually dated from that sort of physical interaction. There was nothing wrong with that, though.
Oh, you were so hot. I like to see you. I lick my computer screen every
Well,
time.
I was going to say, like, whatever I might say, like, it didn't continue, and I think he knew that I'm not what he was looking for after getting to know me, and I could take that personally, or I could be like, you know what, we had some good dates. We had fun. Like, there was nothing bad about that at all. Like, and if I'm not what you want, I don't want to be with you, and I don't. Although he is still hot. he got a little hotter over time. I still follow him on social media. It's like, damn, he's still hot. Anyway. I really don't.
Once you go away from somebody, they tend to get a little more harder.
They kind of do, yeah. He started hitting the gym, and because I like big dudes.
Right. It's not because they're hotter. It's because you see less of them.
That's true, but no, in this case, he really did get a lot hotter. Like he lost about 100 pounds, and then he got some tattoos that were just fucking fire. I mean, he got like a whole sleeve. I was like, shit, that's hot.
I want to sleeve so bad. I think I need, and I wanted to come like down to me.
Yeah, his tattoos are fucking gorgeous. I'm like,
I want to just. Do I know him?
Maybe. Yeah, he's been on.
Is he local?
No.
Oh my god! And I just want it for the whole sleeve thing. I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
I want a good sleeve so bad. So if anybody out there now has a good tattoo artist in the Atlanta metro area, because that's gonna be my effort. Because I think I just wanted to go. I don't know. I just want to look like a douche. I don't know.
Yeah.
I do. All right, we need to start landing this plane. But I don't know, Malcolm. I totally agree with this subject. I'm not as triggered as you thought I would be.
I thought the slow and gradual disappointment would be like, like opposed to your romanticism.
Well, it is, but having did this for almost a decade with you, and kind of, I tend to kind of live life through other people's lenses. So let me go back up here. We are missing. We don't ever do this. We always leave people hanging. The awesome Malcolm and Life card. That is awesome. It's gonna be like Baywatch. You know what I mean? Afro gonna be wet. He gonna be running down the side of the pool. Oh, Candy Corn giving us
the Candy Corn Chronicles. Oh, it's coming. Oh my god.
Oh my god. That's right, Swag. The Candy Corn slander will stop. Hold on, let me. There you go. Get him, Swag. That was after his Candy Corn. It is the one more convince me otherwise. A fucking man. I stand 10 toes down on that very statement.
What was that?
He says it's delicious and no one will ever tell me otherwise.
This is one of those things where it doesn't matter. Like, come on, okay, keep going. I know.
Bro, I like the whole. For me, I like the whole waxy, sweet. It's like I can eat a candle. Yay! I don't know something like that. I won't say what candy corn is. I just question people's choices. Listen.
But this is another one of those things where, like, y'all were trying to get Fitzhugh to watch Deliverance, and the motherfucker told you he's not into fucking demonic shit, and y'all just like.
And we had a conversation after that. He was like, "I said no, Greg. He's a very serious man. I think he adds to the show because we're all very silly, but he's a very serious man. He has not nary piece of, and he writes good comedy. But
yeah,
I know you're watching, Fitz, but like his life has been so serious. He's just a serious man. I picked this to trigger you. Is a wild way to preface the next video. Greg's going to start throwing punches one of these days.
I was like, I dare you to be opposed to this because this guy's making so much fucking sense. I want to hear you.
I will never punch my friend. But it's tough over here. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Greg, something tells me your Gemini ass is a master ghoster. A masturbator, maybe. No, I can be. It depends on what's going on. Like if I'm not getting, and you're not getting that, I'm not getting. Like, I'll give you a couple of hey, this ain't working. What's up, T? I'll give you a couple of hey, this ain't working. And then it's done. I don't even care if we communicate in a public forum. I don't have to say I can ignore you, goddamn bitch. No, I know. From male media mind could translate to I could gain something from you. So let's go out. Sometimes people.
Yeah, in this case, he's a genuinely good.
Very. I know he was watching. Mr. Fitzhugh. No, I mean honestly, you are a very serious man, and we, nobody fucking. He's a serious.
I'm gonna make you like candy corn. I'm gonna make you like it.
Right. Where do you stand? Where do you stand on candy corn?
All right, I got one more. We're not going to actually get to it. We're not going to get to it, but we might talk about it on Patreon. But I do want to preface your mind as to like some of the things you may have learned from relationships, because this is kind of like one of those.
Malcolm, can I? As I really want to. I mean, I want to get into this, so I don't want to give it 3 minutes. Like when you talked about it. I have an hour's worth of shit to say. If you want to run the video, we can.
Yeah, we run the video and we can talk about it on Patreon.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me run it and preface, I guess, anyone else who's watching. We're going to talk about this Wednesday. So come up with your list of things you learned from relationships. All right.
Tell me something that you learned about yourself from your most recent past relationship. As for me, I learned that I'm not the best with money. I'm way better than I used to be since that relationship. I'm a big giver and I could stand to save more. I learned that I hate arguing and will shut down in the face of an argument. I don't like to be told that I'm lying when I'm telling the truth. It's almost a deal breaker for me. I learned that I love affection and intimacy way more than sex and way more than most people. I am not driven by what somebody looks like or even the sex. If I'm in a relationship and my partner is not feeling very sexual, I'm comfortable making it work and meeting my partner where they are. I learned that I am an extroverted introvert, that I don't really like people. I love them, but to be put, like if my partner wants to be around people, unless it's my family or my friends that I've known for years, I can become really uncomfortable, and sometimes people can perceive that as being distant or cold or standoffish. I'm a Cancer, so sometimes I can shut down, especially if I feel attacked or if I feel like I'm not being heard. I learned that I have bouts of depression and anxiety. And I learned that I'm very forgiving. I'm super loving. I am also very sensitive, annoyingly sensitive, and I can be insecure about some things that will really shock people. What about you? Don't lie. Tell the truth.
We'll get into that on Wednesday. But
we'll get into it Wednesday. All right, thank you guys for tuning us. We know you have choice in internet entertainment. Some of us are working, so I gotta push this. Tune in, and programming on again. Swag will be starting at 8 p.m. Eastern time instead of 7 p.m. And at the 9 o'clock hour tomorrow night, we will all be available. All your M3 hotties. And somebody told me Fitzhugh wasn't going to wear a shirt, so I don't know. I don't know. Is that true, John Fitzhugh? I don't know. But I don't know what this is. Must be like a bot or something. So join us on Patreon, www.patreon.com/male-media-mind, and we'll end the programming note again. Join Swag tomorrow night. at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we go through his regular show, what T'Challa's watching, shit his mama say. And he may have something from shit his mama say because he spent the weekend with his mama. I'm so excited to hear about that. And don't forget, if you want to finish this topic on what you learned from your last relationship, make a note of it, make a list. We're going to ask you Wednesday night again, what did you learn? Because I want to know. I have lots to say. I didn't want to just run through this. So that's what I'm saying. So tune in Wednesday nights with Malcolm at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where he will school you. He'll have a few more topics other than this, and hopefully some funny videos to kind of balance it. He's a heavy brother from time to time.
Part of the reason I like this topic, because we're on Patreon now. Part of the reason I like the topic is it's also a projection. Relationships are kind of a projection. I was reading in this article about the idea that one of the things that makes you feel closest to someone is someone who understands you, right? And so the idea that someone understands you is basically a reflection of yourself, right? You are getting, obviously you like the things about them, right? You like what they look like, you like their personality, so forth and so on. But part of what makes someone truly compatible with you is that they understand you. They get you. And part of that feeling like they get you is a projection, right? Like you're saying, like, because someone could see things in you that you don't see in yourself, and you'll feel like they don't understand me. They don't understand. Maybe they really do understand you. Maybe they understand you better than you understand yourself. But you won't feel like you're being understood. You'll feel like they see, something else. So truly, other people are a reflection of yourself, because if they don't reflect back to you this understanding that you have of yourself, then you don't really feel understood, And so part of that is sometimes they don't agree with you about this image that you have of yourself. And so they were saying, like in therapy, relationships are some of the best ways to understand who you are. In fact, a lot of times that's how you come to understand yourself in relationships. All relationships. I'm not saying just romantic relationships, but family and friends and all that. In the same way, like when your friend, someone who you've known for years, sees you differently than you see yourself, it might make you think about, like, is that true? Like, is that something? Or how about this? So, like, when someone you felt really understood you, really got you, decides to leave you, that's usually what the part that hurts, is the true rejection of the fact that, like, they understood who I was and they said no. It's not that you want them back. is that it was a complete and utter rejection of this idea of you. And even if you don't want them, you're like, how dare you? How dare you reject me? But anyway, because I remember I was recording a podcast with a guy. It was the one you recommended, Guy.
Jerry.
Jerry, is that his name?
Yeah.
Okay, we were recording last night, and he was talking about the fact that he was riding, doing rideshare, whatever.
Yes.
And he was driving by his ex's house, someone he hadn't dated or something in 20 years, and he still like felt a ping of anger from like 20 years ago. He's like, if we're kind of talking about, it's like, that's kind of normal, and for those reasons, it's like you don't necessarily want them again. It's just like that. It's like, how, not how dare you reject me, but just kind of like, if you weren't so fucked up, it could have worked out, that kind of thing. Or anyway, I'm just saying relationships have the ability to teach us about a lot about ourselves, probably the best way, which is one of those things where anyway, so
no, finish the thought, sir. You cannot like bring me to the
I feel like I'm talking too much. No,
like bitch, the one time I did not interrupt you, like, like, son of a bitch. What is this?
I feel like I'm saying too much. Just like,
no, I am listening to you. I'm just like, why does he do? Like, he doesn't want me to enter, and like, I'm just giving him the form to explain this shit because it's and the reason.
No, I was just getting at the idea that like in that. Remember when I was talking about the RuPaul quote that you about how are you going to love someone else if you don't love yourself?
Yes,
that is true. That the reason that statement is true is because the way you love yourself is how you receive love from other people. It is how you determine whether or not you're worthy of love. If you can't love yourself, then it's hard for you to accept love from someone else.
Now, the only thing I have to say about that, but there were times in my life where I didn't necessarily love myself, and I was loved by other people until I got across the bridge.
Yeah,
to loving myself. So that in a few.
But that's exactly where I was going with this. Is that it's just because you don't love yourself doesn't mean you shouldn't be in relationship with other people, because that being in relationship to other people can teach you how to love yourself. And those are some of the things that are the most, nurturing parts of relationships. The only problem with that is, of course, you're going to have much more difficult times, maintaining and establishing connections if your sense of self is unstable,
Right.
But no, you need those lessons, you need those failed relationships to learn how not to fail next time. So, and sometimes that's the only way you can learn is by failing. So,
yeah, I tend to do it. Now my because I've learned a shit ton, and that's why I'm like, I mean, that's how you grow.
Yeah,
of other people,
absolutely.
Hopefully, you sit back and you do a dive and an autopsy, if you will, of what the fuck happened.
Right.
Especially because I'm gonna tell you, and this is so crazy. I've never been like broken up with. I've always done the breaking up with, even everyone. So the autopsy I've learned to do is, what have I done? What can I do better? Who am I? What did I not do in this particular situation? I mean? So and it's I'm gonna tell you no goddamn lie. And the reason why I wanted to explore this later is because it is super hard to critique yourself.
It is,
especially after you've come out of this shit-tastic thing that you were in, and
But also, this is another point of why I'm bringing this up with the topic of projection. Is when you pick a shitty partner, one of the best ways you can examine yourself is, why did you pick them?
Yeah, because they got good ass. Duh. I'm just playing. No, I was just being ass.
I mean, it's true though. I mean, that says something about you, that maybe you value good ass over good personality. I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe a physical connection matters to you more than you really think, But it is a good question. Like, if all these exes are horrible, why did you pick them?
Right, because especially in a time and
because I'm this is not just about you. I'm thinking about myself too. Like, I've made some really bad choices. So, and we have to kind of own those, especially when you pick them and then you think, did you learn anything from it?
Yeah, and you're like,
Oh God, I had a I don't know. I think I had a moment of weakness. Mr. Jamaica started calling me again. I'm not talking to him, but I thought about it because I kind of do miss him. I miss the conversations, but
why? Okay, all right. We've got to pick this up on Wednesday because I have this is because why deny yourself of just a basic human need?
I'm not denying that need. I'm denying him. Like I've rejected him for a reason. I'm just saying that I'm having a moment of weakness in the sense of like ignoring the red flags and going back to him anyway. You know, like I don't think any of his issues have been resolved. You know what I'm saying? And they would not get any better.
Issues have been resolved.
I'm trying to keep it, you know, since there are people watching. I'm not trying to give out his business, but
Okay.
yeah, it's all good. I'm just saying we sometimes have those moments of weakness where like I thought about that with synchronicities too, where I was thinking about him and then he calls and I'm like, oh god, what the fuck?
But is it okay if you just want to do it?
It's okay, but I don't want to find myself attached to someone who's not, you know, good for me. Because yeah, he's just not right for me. Like, when I sat down and thought about it, like he's just argumentative in a way that's just not good. I think he's also maybe a little bit like a
douche.
Yeah.
A douche.
He thinks he can control people. You know, like he thinks he can just tell people what to do and they're gonna do it. I'm like, that's not how this works, bro. I think you got a little too much machismo in you, and I get it. Like that turns some people on, but I'm not one of those people.
I mean, I don't. But see, for some people, that would be like a turn on, and they would be like,
exactly. I release you to find that person because I'm not that person.
But you can't, because of that doesn't work out. You can't be their friend.
Maybe I just need to get some distance, like, so that I'm not ready to fuck them again, like on the drop of a hat. Like I need some more distance.
But again, like why? I'm trying to figure out why are we like distance? You know what I mean? Why? I don't know. I feel like you want the relationship, or you want at least the contact. So why?
Yeah. Because like I don't trust myself to like limit it to just conversation. He wants a husband. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not gonna be inextricably tied to someone who is like him. Like he has a lot of things that do not work for me. You know, and it took me a while to mourn that loss, right? Like I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh God, I really want that to be different, but it's not. Like I really want, like I wanted it. I wanted it to work out. And so it was really sad. It was really hard to say I'd let that go. But it was for the best.
Yeah, I get that. All right. So we're gonna pick this back up Wednesday.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and end Patreon. Thank you guys.
Thanks.
For joining.